Austin Carr, Northwestern.
You are looking at the receiver of the year in the Big Ten. How did the Northwestern defense feel about Austin this year?
You got a guy like Austin Carr, you got a 3rd and 12. Usually you're going to sit back and be like, all right, hey, defense, let's go, let's get ready. No. Throw it to Austin Carr. That man got you. It might not even be a first down, it might be a touchdown. This man, he seemed unstoppable this year. It seemed like nobody was out there. Like, they were just running routes on air.
This season, this former walk-on who didn't see the field for 2 years had 84 catches for 1,196 yards and 12 touchdowns.
You know, everyone else would like to say it surprised them, but, from our own football team, it hasn't surprised us. We've seen him put in the work in the offseason. We saw what he could do last year and even the year before. And so coming to this year, we knew he'd be one of the top receivers in the Big Ten and even in the country.
We're talking about a receiver who can attack any coverage at any time.
I think versus zone, he knows the holes, he understands defenses, he can find those holes and sit down. And against man, he can separate against anyone, against some of the best in the country. And I think that's really what makes him one of the best.
Just in the situations where you needed him the most is where he showed up. So, I think that really is what makes him a great football player in general, and then obviously a great receiver as well.
If you could use one word to describe Austin Carr?
One word to describe him, I'd say crafty. A very crafty individual, very intelligent. Maybe not the biggest, maybe not the fastest, but he does well with the attributes that he has. He's a guy that can use his hands very well off the press, give you a little something, and then he's gone like that.
He can also give you a little something on the piano. And the most interesting man in the Big Ten also sings.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
His quarterback says you're looking at one solid guy.
You can always count on him no matter what, on the field, off the field, and that's what makes him really great, is that he's an awesome teammate. He's a servant leader. As you can see, he's a captain, but he didn't get there by saying, oh, it's all me, it's all this, it's all that. He served guys first, and that's what makes him so great.
Please welcome the most interesting man in all of college football, Burlsworth Award finalist Austin Carr of Northwestern.
Can sing, he can play the piano. Most people who are in the arts don't have time for athletics. How did you do both?
That began in high school when I saw musicals and plays in middle school, and my mom took me to San Francisco to see The Lion King, and that lit a fire. I was like, man, I'd love to be on stage sometime and try that out. And so luckily in high school, I auditioned for the spring musical. Apparently I could sing okay. I can't dance, but they said, come on. And so I had great coaches who, in the wintertime and in the spring, allowed me to balance both theater and sports. So it's something I've been passionate about.
Okay, so you didn't get a scholarship offer in football, or at least not at Northwestern. Did you get some scholarship offers in the arts?
I did not, no.
Wow.
Very unimpressive, right?
So Northwestern got both then. Why'd you pick Northwestern?
So I wanted to see a different part of the country. I'm from Northern California originally, and the Chicago area, once I visited, experienced just what it was like. And then once I got around the team, by that time they said, okay, we have a spot for you to walk on. And so I got around the team, got around the city, and was like, this place could really be a great home for me for the next 4 or 5 years. So once I visited, I was sold.
So you like the big city. What's the best thing about Chicago?
Best thing about Chicago is the public transit. Just kidding. Probably it's a melting pot of all sorts of different backgrounds, which kind of mimics the Bay Area where I'm from. Ethnically, socially, religiously, it's a place where you have all sorts of arts and events going on, and you also have big-time sports and the Bears and the Bulls and the Blackhawks. It's a place where there's a ton of things going on, and it's not just sports, it's not just arts. They have a great combination of both.
You didn't even mention the Cubs. What was that like for you, seeing all that celebration?
I was raised a Dodgers fan. I'm sorry. No, go Cubs. I was happy for them, definitely.
So when you saw what the city did for that, Northwestern is not regarded as a high football power. What would it mean to a school like that to win a national championship like the Cubs did the World Series?
That would mean a whole lot with the amount of work that the guys put in. Being a program that might not get 5- and 4-star recruits every year, and yet we're competing with teams like Ohio State and Michigan State and people like that. I mean, it's there's a bit of pride that we have in that, and it's a testimony to Coach Fitzgerald and his staff that just get us prepared each week. A national championship, that would be amazing. I'd love
Now, I got to ask you, if you play the piano, it's not easy to catch a ball thrown at high velocity. Do you ever worry about your fingers?
It's funny you ask. So my first year on campus at Northwestern, I severed the tendon in my right pinky with a butter knife.
Not a football, a butter knife.
A butter knife, yeah. So it was an off the field issue or injury that at the time, I can play football without my last digit on my pinky, right? Call my mom. I'm like, okay, like. I'm gonna keep practicing. Like, I want to earn, a scholarship. I want to prove to the coaches. And at the time, I'd been having a really good fall camp. Granted, I had a lot of growth to have, but my mom was like, Austin, you're gonna have children one day. You're gonna want to play piano for them, aren't you? I was like, well, yeah, but like football now. She's like, no, you get surgery. No, Mom, you get surgery. Okay, so. I ended up getting surgery on the pinky, sat out that whole year, but it was a blessing in disguise because I was able to learn a ton, and I can still play piano.
And the fingers are also still good. Thank you. Thank you, Austin. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.